Hi everyone, welcome back. Many of you were interested in this APC9-K from Archwick. There are a couple of things that I just wanted to go over from my first video. First of which, the hand stop that comes with it, which I imagine is, a little sling point as well. The bolt was missing, so there's no bolt with that, so I can't actually fit it. All the bolts look like they're there for the side rails. 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah, so they're all there. But Nelson from Archwick actually contacted me after the video had literally just gone up, so he'd watched the video and he was giving me a bit of information here and there about the APC9. He confirmed that they do indeed do all the manufacturing on this, and if they do, happy days. That's a very good feat for them. He did also state a few things about the APC9, first of which the spring. I had my criticisms. For some reason, I can't lock the bolt from the right side. I have to do it from the left side. So something funky's going on there. But he basically said that there's no spring on the real APC9. I get that. I get, you've fitted something that isn't there on the APC9, but the thing is, with the real APC9, you're going to have such a hefty recoil spring in, which this doesn't have. So it's just a little bit lethargic moving forward, like the GHM9. That being said, many of you have said, well, which do you prefer? Why have you gone for this over the Maruyama? The Maruyama was okay. Obviously, the one that I had took the Glock style mags, which for me, APC9s should be taking the B&T MP9 style mags. If you're looking at the two, because Maruyama have since released one with, a proper B&T mag, what I will say is, yes, the Archwick is probably more expensive, but the quality and the craftsmanship that's going to this far, supersedes the Maruyama in terms of build quality and just the fit and finish of everything. This is better. Now, the other criticism, well, not criticism, but point that people are making, well, I'm looking at your GHM9 videos. Which one do you go for, GHM9 or the APC9K? Now, you're picking this if you're a, GH M9 fan. I, of course, do love B&T stuff, so I was going to get it anyway. You do have a bit more versatility with this because it's completely modular. They do different front ends. You've got the little stock piece that comes with its standard, which so you could put like a Picatinny style stock folder, or you can use the B&T collapsible stock that they do. The other adaptability you've got is the magazines. They take pretty much all, WE, TM supposedly, and VFC style mags. So, you've got a bit more adaptability there. What I will say is the grip is, slightly wider than this. I mean, the Archwick is a bit more comfortable to hold. The controls and stuff are better on this. I mean, this is far more expensive than the base GHM9, but the base GHM9 has its place. So it's modular, it's cheap. Mags, you can shove all your Glock mags in there if you want to. If you're in the boat for an APC9 like this, you are wanting the best APC9 replica out there, which I'm very much in that category. I wanted the best replica. Many people have said, well, why did you go for the Maruyama? They said this, not me, that the Archwick is having a couple of issues. It's a licensed product, and I think from my experience, I've got niggly issues, which I've mentioned one already. The other one was the barrel nut tool. Now, this is a two-piece design. You've got, I think it's aluminium and a steel ring at the top there to take the barrel out. Now, here is my problem with that, and I have relayed my feedback to Nelson already, and they're going to make changes to make sure that they're being assembled and stuff correctly. So if I put this on to remove the barrel and I turn it, what happens is the actual front part of the tool comes off. So that hasn't been glued from factory. They're meant to be gluing these. So what I'm going to do before I carry on with this video, I'm just going to do a quick split here in the video. I'm just going to go and thread lock this and then bring it back, because obviously I want to have a look at the barrel and we want to pull that apart and see what's going on. So I've just put some really high strength Loctite on that. I would have much preferred this to be one piece. I imagine they've done it as a cost effective thing, but with machining, you know, machining threads, especially on two parts, is you know, a lot more of a process on a machine. In my opinion, you should have just bought this in steel tubing and just done it as one piece, because, you know, a thread like that, which is counterintuitive to what you're trying to do, is the wrong choice in my opinion. A few of you got in touch and said that you was having similar issues with the mags. One person said they had similar issues with the Beretta PMX, which uses KWA MP9 mags, which they were always renowned for getting stuck. So I don't know if it's going to have to be a case of it will run in, not sure, or whether I'm going to have to pull this feed tube off and just polish it up and just try and make it a bit slippy. The last thing you want to do is add any kind of lube to this. It gets on your BBs, it gets on your hop, and you're going to have a bad day. So to pop this thing apart, super easy. Well, obviously, you don't have to take the stock off, actually. What I recommend, usually I would say, like on the Mariama, pop the rear pin out, pull the stock off, do it that way, pull the lower down. I'm actually going to recommend you do both pins at the same time. I don't know what Archwick recommend, but pop the two pins out like that. You'll be able to pull the lower off in one piece. Stock will then be able to move down. I think I'm going to have to extend it. Stock moves down, pulls out the back like so. We can then pull the recoil spring guide out. We pull the bolt back, and then you've got this little pin which drops out left to right like so, and then we can pull the bolt out and this capsulates itself in. I think, just even though Nelson said that this, you know, it's not something that's apparent on the real one, for that extra like couple of pence, because springs aren't expensive, especially if you're mass producing these things, I just think it would have been nice to have that be a nice fast, you know, a nice fast cycle on that. It would have felt a lot better. So they have said that they manufacture these parts themselves. If they do, kudos to them for that. Very good. It is very reminiscent of, and I don't know if this is a VFC thing, but there's a lot of VFCs I've come across that have this split design on the root, the part that sits against the router of the mag. So I haven't seen any other manufacturer do that apart from VFC, which is why we of course make the connection to different manufacturers like VFC. Now it does have a piece on the front here, much like the MWS. So there's the similarities there. I'm not sure if this is meant to be completely flat with the nozzle, but there is a bevel on this bottom edge. It almost looks like it's been filed or cut, but I'm not sure if that's meant to be like that on the mould. Perhaps Nelson can confirm that. He was also giving me a bit of information. I haven't looked through all the messages on the phone just yet about the that not actually being a QR code. It's some kind of stocking code that they use with the real ones. I'll delve into that in a later video if you guys want it. But I thought I'd just give you a quick look at the internals. So you'll see as you push the right one up if you want to do bolt lock, because let's face it, it's intuitive to pull it with your left and push it up with your right, or if you're lefty, you do it vice versa. I just think that you can't push the bolt lock up as far with the right side as you can with the left, or it comes up at an angle. So that might be something for them to have a look at. Apart from that, all the other components look pretty damn good. Got a weird magnet here, so yeah, steel hammer. I'm going to be able to, feels like steel sears. So there's a lot of steel components in there, connecting rods and such. So they've used good materials, to which, when I say good materials, most companies now, I think it needs to be a norm that wearing parts need to be made out of a higher strength material. With the bolts, I'm not 100% sure this comes apart. We have a screw in the top just there, and we also have a screw on the back. I imagine that's for the spring. So if you guys want a full disassembly, we'll look at that at a later date. Let me know in the comments below. Has this gone off yet? I'm hoping it has. Slide this in here. Yeah. Oh no, it's still that Loctite still. See, this is the problem. That as a feature, I mean, it's great they give you the tool. You probably need the tool to take the barrel out and such, but that design choice of doing this two-piece is just, it just baffles me. I don't know why you would do it, because I can't take it out because it won't. It just unwinds on itself, even with some Loctite in there. The other thing that I did notice when I was just like pulling the bolt out and such is that this spring guide here, so mine from the factory, this is actually loose. So you'll see it's a couple of different pieces here. So that again as a part hasn't been glued in place. So I don't know if that's intentional, but when I first took it apart, it was literally, it was like that. So it was on the last couple of threads. So if you are picking one of these Archwick APC9s up, check that. Check your tool. Check everything's in the box. And yeah, so it's just a bit of a carry on from yesterday's video. It does look like, I mean, that hot rubber as well, I've only seen that on the recent VFC gas blowbacks, which is why we always make the comparisons, because you see the same parts. Like, if they are indeed manufacturing these things themselves, maybe they just got an off-the-shelf hot rubber. If they did just get an off-the-shelf hot rubber, I think there's better choices than what they've fitted in there. Now, I'm not sure if we can pull that out from the back because it looks like this plate is holding it in, or whether that's just for the loading ramp. Now, the loading ramp does look fairly beefed up compared to, you know, the likes of VFC and other manufacturers. So it would be nice to, and that part again, if that's just bolted in, to have that as a serviceable part, that's great as well, easy to do. So far I've enjoyed playing with it. You know, there's similarities here as well. I think the Maruyama had a very similar setup for where the spring guide sat, similar buffer style. I mean, I'm still going to go and say that this is the best B&T style sliding stock that I've come across. Obviously, I've never held a real one. Not sure what we're going to do with the front end on this one, whether I'm going to keep it nice and short, because it is a really good size. They have fitted an inner barrel that goes all the way to the end of the flash hider. You do have tri-lug there, which is great, but what we do need is we need more tri-lug suppressors available. Now, I do have that, is it a 5KU Rider 9 or whatever? They're just stupidly long and stupidly thin. No one likes a thin suppressor. Bit of girth, that's what we need. So I use that just as a tamp to push the suppressor foam baffles in. But yeah, attention to detail on this thing, it is such a heft of a piece. It really does feel like quality. Like I say, I haven't felt the real one, but this to me, from the limited experience I've got with APC9s, but the extensive experience I've got with SMGs, I would say this probably would replicate more the real one compared to the Maruyama. Controls, everything like that's pretty good. You can, I think, put this one in safe when it's not cocked, where I'm pretty sure the Maruyama and the GHM9, you can't do that. I wouldn't recommend it anyway. I mean, this just comes from me having ARs. You know, you always see people trying to force the selector into safe when it's not cocked, and, you know, people break a lot of GBB M4s like that. So, yeah, really easy to disassemble and field strip. Putting it back together is very much a reverse of the process. Line that little thing up. You've got a shelf on the one side which goes at the top as you drop it in. Drop the bolt home. I will have to Loctite this in place, but you know, we might experiment with some springs if we can find them. We slide the stock back on, and we're going to be able to notch it up into place. I would just knock the hammer down so it's out the way. Place the lower on the bottom. Pins in. Every B&T replica I've come across has had the most tightest pins. Now, again, I'd rather have it tight than loose, but it would also be nice to be able to field strip it without having to use a tool to smack the pins out. The receiver is quite tight on the mags. You can't, it's difficult to push them home, so I'm pushing quite hard there. In fact, it is going in now, so it must be wearing in. But I couldn't do that before. I had to tap it for it to lock. Yeah, I think some spring upgrades are needed. Again, I've had quite a couple of times where I can't drop the bolt with this side as well, but that does seem to be loosening up. So it could just be I need to run this in a little bit more, but I mean, just look at it. It looks absolutely phenomenal, doesn't it? They have done a really cracking job. There's loads of stuff that I wanted to get into the second video on this that I haven't come across, but I just wanted to get across to you guys just a few things that I'd noticed. We'll get to delving into this a little bit further once I can reliably take the barrel out. Is this going to have set yet? I did use some really strong Loctite, which usually sets pretty damn quick. We might have lift off here. Do we have lift? Yeah, there we go. Sweet. So you can use that tool. You can pull your barrel set out. It does have a thread on this side, which I imagine is used with the SD version. Nice little hop unit there. I imagine that is what, that bar there is what pushes your pressure on, which is done with the screw that's found just under here. There is two holes there. One has nothing in and one has a screw, so I imagine that one is the one that we use for the hop adjustment. And the barrel assembly. Again, with the threads, I don't, why companies do this? So it's like, I suppose it's not so much an issue on this because we haven't got the like a 14mm thread, which you would on other replicas, but getting the rotations right. We do have this little adapter here. I'm not sure what this is for. Like, what does this actually do? Like, I'm not sure what that actually does. What it might be, we might have to turn that out there, and then that's what replaces that and gives us, is that 14 counter? Yeah, there we go. So you get a 14 counter adapter in the box. So you would just switch that part out with it there. It is a very narrow thread though, so you're gonna have to be careful. If, you know, only feedback I can give Archwick on that is make that, you know, 75, add another 50-75% on that. Just needs a bit more grab, so the threads last a bit longer and you got a bit more strength on your bind. So I think these holes here, perhaps we can line that up with that hole, and there's a grub screw, I really don't know. I'll save pulling this apart for another video when we completely strip this thing down and have a look at the bolt, and we'll do the hop as well. You know, perhaps they'll do a suppressor kit for this. I know they do the SD version. I was torn which one to get, but I did want like the legit like APC9-K as what you see like in all the movies and the video games, and just running around the house with this, just sort of getting used to it. I'm just trying to get familiar with it because I run a lot of M4s, as you guys know. It's so comfortable, short, compact package. I could very easily use it like that and then extend the stock. It's going to be great for those that run in CQB, but mainly if you're a B&T APC9 fan. Even though I've had niggly issues, which a lot of people do, all manufacturers get it. This is probably the best quality replica of the APC9K I've come across. So thanks for tuning in to another 20-minute video. Again, just the time disappears trying to talk about this thing. What I want you to do is, if you want to see more content on this APC9, I want you to head down to the comment section below right now and put in the comment section what you want to see be done on this. Do you want to see a disassembly of the barrel and the hop and see how that works? Can we improve it? Do you want to see the inside of the bolt? Do you want to try anything? Let me know in the comments below and we'll get to it in the subsequent videos. And as always, from me and from Bench, we'll see you in the next one.